let me ask you this, since you put it that way, Karolina. Should we feel threatened?
Um, so here's the thing.
Welcome to another episode of Act Bold. Today, we are going to be getting into AI. This is something that I know really scares a lot of actors, and we're going to talk about all the ins and outs, what you should know, how you should prepare yourself. I have Karolina Matheis from Matheis Casting. Karolina is a casting director. She owns one of the biggest commercial agencies in Europe, as far as that goes. And Falk Ebert is, I'm going to have to look at my notes again, an innovations consultant and an AI expert, which is, of course, why we have him on the show. So welcome, Karolina and Falk. Karolina, why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit and give us like the pistachio nutshell of who you are?
So thank you. It's great to be here again, actually.
Yes.
And I'm super happy to bring Falk today with me. So as you said, I'm a casting director for over 20 years. I will work internationally. And the reason why we joined forces with Falk is because the market is changing rapidly. So I just jump in right now, okay? So And so the market is changing, and it was interesting for us as well. So that was kind of the first idea why we made contact with him. And through that, we figured out that there's a huge knowledge that we thought we should deliver to actors because it's like a big wave coming.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Falk, tell us a few words about you and how you came to be so helpful to actors in combating this machine.
Machine thing. Yeah, first of all,
The
thanks for having
machine.
us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Nice being here. Yeah, well, to put it really like in a few words, I have a background in marketing. I come from marketing agencies, and I founded strategy and consulting units in 3 marketing agencies. And now for like 2.5 years, I'm a freelance consultant. But what really drives me is always looking into the new things. Like and at the moment, the thing that's currently new and everybody wants to know about it and everyone gets to is getting into it is, of course, artificial intelligence. I think guess that's why we're here today as well. And so what I do, just that you get a feeling for what my job is, I try to learn about the new thing as much as I can. I talk to experts, I look into the software, and then I go to, let's say, like humans, can be brands, can be companies, and I just try to help them find a way with that new thing, which has, of course, a technological side. I firmly believe you need to have a basic understanding of the technology to find your way. But it always has like a human side, a softer side, a change management side, a vision finding side. And that's where I work. So I was really happy when we found together, Karolina and I, to do what I usually do with big companies, what I do with agencies, to do that in the field of acting and try to help actors together to find their way.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited to dive into this. I'm a huge user of AI. I use ChatGPT. I also have a Perplexity account. I just recently signed up for the Google. I think, what is it, Genesis or something?
Yeah,
where they
Gemini,
go
yeah.
into your Gemini,
Yeah.
exactly. And I like sort of seeing who does what. And I just was listening to a podcast with Seth Godin yesterday where he was saying similar things, that we need to be using AI to support ourselves, to support what we do, not to replace our creativity, but to support it and to help us hone our brands, hone our messaging, simplify a lot of things. But what he said was that ChatGPT was arrogant and lazy. And I have to agree. I find that to be the case too. So my first question to you right off the bat is, which is your favorite platform?
You want to go first?
Yeah. So the one that I use a lot is, of course, ChatGPT. Then I use as well a lot MidJourney and tools like DeepL that help you when it comes to translating texts and getting ideas of how could I put a sentence in another form. And those 3 are for sure the ones that I use the most. Yeah. And help me a lot in my everyday work. And
I
use them
definitely
of-
want to get back to that.
And I use them, of course, for different like areas of the tasks that I have to tackle.
Yeah. So I'm gonna come back to that. But first, I also want to hear which one that Falk likes the best.
I
or
mean,
which ones?
in terms of usage frequency, it would probably be ChatGPT, right? I put in there about like 50 prompts a day that I basically use it more than I've been using Google before. So, but that's not my favorite. That's just a working tool. I'm
Hmm.
since I'm a huge fan of design and art and science fiction and fantasy. I really like MidJourney as well because you can
Mm.
get with the right prompts you can get amazing pictures even if you have no talent for drawing whatsoever like I do. Um, but
So true.
like lately, I've also been toying around a lot with HeyGen because you can just have these video avatars, you can have translations, you can generate very interesting kind of things that have humans in them doing kind of things, which is probably also relevant for
Mm.
our topic today. That's the one I've been
Hmm.
using the most lately.
Okay. That's the one that sounds like it could be the most threatening to actors because that sounds like something that ad agencies would jump into and want to generate content with where they don't have to pay residuals if they're in the States or pay a buyout if they're in Europe. Um,
I mean, Sora is quite similar. And
mm,
it's not like Hey Jen, but it
Hmm.
is going into the same direction that you just talked about. Like, what could be a threat, or um, what is a tool that actors feel threatened by, and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me ask you this since you put it that way, Carolina. Should we feel threatened?
Um. So here's the thing. Usually when I looked into the horizon of the whole industry, it was more or less the same for many years now. Now, when I look into to the horizon, there are a lot of variables. There's a lot that is constantly changing, and in order to understand it for my own craft, and that's why I contacted Falk. And we started talking, and I said, "Hey, I believe if me, as someone who is very much in the middle of the industry, if there are question marks, I believe that there are more people on the market who have those question marks." And so, to answer your questions, um, there will be, from my personal point of view, productions that will not use actors. There will be, from my personal point of view, a shift. Um, in the last couple of years, we could see a downfall when it comes to theaters, for example. I think it
Yeah.
will massively shift back to live performances.
Oh,
And
wow.
then,
Okay.
I believe as well that there are productions that cannot and will not cut out a real actor.
Hmm.
And there will be many productions that will do that.
So, what do you think wouldn't cut out in a real actor?
Everything that has to do with a complex character, a complex storyline, but things like, hmm, let's say a company is doing advertising for their new Christmas and Easter, and like things that are going out frequently, and where probably the product is more the center of the film than the actual actor. I believe there we will see that actors will not perform anymore. Yeah.
Mm.
And
I have to say,
limited in the acting, but with that said, this is my view on the current horizon. This might change as well during the next month, years, whatsoever. But
yeah.
as I see it right now, and we're close with AI companies as well who are in the filmmaking industry, so we see what they are doing. Yeah. Um, I mean, we're sorry, we're talking about companies that are developing digital extras, for example.
Yeah.
So everything that is part of the budget that will not be necessary, because there is no complex, character storyline. I think this is where production companies will tend to use AI.
Mm. I mean, I could totally see it for even things like Marvel, where you're creating like a superhero. That's not necessarily a human being that we relate to that we relate to. It's aspirational, maybe it's fun, but it's not like an indie film, like a day-to-day, a slice of life
Mhm.
type of a thing. And I think that there will always be people that kind of like reject that fake art and want to have human art. But there are also, and we see it in our politics, we see it in everyday life, like the majority of people seem to just want to be entertained.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter how it happened, whether that's like at the expense of somebody's dramas and trials, as in like everyday news or reality shows, or whether it's at the moment at the expense of an entire country, like by hiring a reality star to be the president and who's hiring his ridiculous friends to fill cabinets. So, and there is entertainment value in that, which is disgusting, but it's true. It's like that thing of like wanting to watch a train wreck, you can't turn away from it. And that's this. I don't wanna go down the whole politics lane, but it's obviously on my mind. We just had this election. Um, but there are so many areas, and this is I think we have to be thinking as actors in terms of, like I love that you said that we're gonna be going back to theater. That kind of is like it's like, "Oh, I hadn't even thought of that." Yeah, that people are going to wanna see real people acting in real time.
So here's one thing, and I think it could be the headline of our conversation. There are things that actors are threatened by, but in every change we find opportunities as well, and this is what Falk and I are trying to bring across. So
Mm.
it's not only that we talk about theaters, where I truly believe there's going to be a great rise. Um, but it makes for actors for the first time easier to bring out their own like scripts, films, whatsoever. They don't need a huge production unit anymore. And I
Yeah,
think we can see now who really has this creative source inside of him or her and who uses this. Because I believe, and this is how I see actors, they're not only the ones who stand in front of the camera and look right and look left, and there is way more to that. And this creative potential can be brought to life in so many ways. And so Huck and I had a conversation about it the other day, and you always bring the example of Mr. Johnny Depp.
And Captain Jack Sparrow, yes.
Yes.
okay.
Maybe you want to.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us about it.
Just as thinking about it, there's like let's imagine AI and what AI does in the sector of artificial acting, video, whatever, right? As a little bit of a baseline, like that's
Mhm.
rising. So there are just things that you can get for free now, which is, let's say you need a 10-second shot of an average looking person smiling into the camera. That's for free now. Nobody needs to shoot that right now. That costs about
Right.
10 cents to produce, and nobody's going to use a camera ever again to produce that. But then again, if you have something that is way more complicated, that has more depth to it, and this is the important point, that has something new to it. It's not a cliche, not something that has been done before. It's an artistic interpretation based on an artistic vision. And that's
Mhm.
where that example comes in, of Johnny Depp playing Captain Jack Sparrow that I thought of as a layman, because
Mm.
he did not play a cliche pirate captain. He had a new spin to it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody knows that spin and can, if you go to a Comic Con and people are dressing up as a pirate captain, they might very well
Yeah.
act exactly that way that he acted. Like he
Mhm.
invented that character. And just inventing that character and putting all that creative vision into bringing it to life, that's something that at least today no AI can do. This is something completely
Mm.
new. So it's important to keep in mind. There's a baseline that's also rising of things we don't need to do anymore as actors, because that costs 10 cents to do and you don't need to film that. But there's also a skill ceiling of AI. And if you want to go above that and want to create something that's unique, that has immense value, that has an artistic power and an understanding of what the world needs to see and wants to hear at the moment, then you still need actors that do a very, very good job.
And if I may add something, I believe that we will see as well a rise of content in the sense of how much content will be put out there. So there will be a lot of content put out there that was not shot before, in a sense of, let's say we had 100% of content. Now it will be 160 or 70 because these additional 60 or 70% will be generated through AI. So it's not, for me personally, it's not as super scary as in the first moment people might think or feel. And what is super important for us is to build a bridge. So the more actors and market participants understand what's happening right now, I think the more they can navigate. And from my personal point of view, it is the time where it's 100% about defining your own potential is to life. So right now, yes, for sure, you cannot hide anymore. So if you don't know what your potential is and your strong suit and you don't lean into that, then it's going to be tricky. This is how I see it. And this is kind of the constant that right now I see on the horizon. I said before, things are changing on the horizon, but since like AI came up as a big topic, the ones who were able to succeed are still the ones, or the ones who used AI to enrich their own performance and their own skills, were the ones that leaned into their own potential, figured out this, and then said, okay, I'm bringing this out into the world.
Yeah. So, okay, there's so much in there, and there are so many different ways that you can lean into
Yeah.
AI to bring out your potential. So, are you talking about something specific, or are you talking just like in general terms?
I think everybody, and this is an inside job, everybody needs to figure out that for themselves what it is when I talk about potential. But of course, I have things in mind. As I said before, I believe that actors are a way bigger, or many actors have a way bigger creative source inside of them than they might actually think, and bigger than the market has trained them.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
trained
Yeah.
to be an actor, and then you have the director, and then you have the scriptwriter, and in commercials you have the client or the production company whatsoever. Now, I believe that an actor or anyone on the market is on the market because they love telling stories. So I think the idea of, oh no, I'm just an actor, is for nowadays, it can be broadened in a sense of, no,
To be a creator.
yes, you
Yeah.
can, and that is the potential that I'm talking about, telling stories.
Mm.
I don't think that actors should limit themselves on the skill of acting, which they have,
Right.
and I still would encourage, okay, use this because there's a huge power in it. Yet from being an actor, they can tell stories and bring their voice out into the world. And they can, of course, and this is something else, they're, how do I put this? I mean, what we do is we teach actors as well how they can, you know, bring their performance as an actor out into the world. That is another. So how is it possible to minimize the effort in times of self-tape castings, for example? How can you use AI if we talk about, okay, learning scripts, performing, their whole vita, photos, whatsoever. So, and that is another topic. So those are my two topics. I believe potential is key, quality is key, and I encourage them to kind of broaden their activities.
Yeah.
And so you're not only an actor, you're so much more. And
Yeah.
I really believe in this. Yet you can use AI as well for your acting performance.
Yeah. Well, you know that I've used, or I've tried to use AI, and I don't think it's there yet, but I did try to use AI to kind of give me feedback on a couple of self tapes that I did. Um, was interesting. I mean, it doesn't understand a lot, but I thought some of its feedback was kind of spot on. Some of it kind of pissed me off too. It's just me and my ego. Get out of the way. I don't know. But I think that that's very interesting. But again, that would you have to like train a GPT to understand like your brand, what you're going for. And that comes back to understanding what you were saying earlier, but understanding your potential, like understanding who you are and what you bring to the table that nobody else brings to the table. But the thing,
But
why would it? Yeah, go
yeah, sure.
ahead. Go
There,
ahead. Yeah.
like I don't think the training ChatGPT to give a feedback on your self-tape casting is what I'm aiming for. Like that's
Ah.
what I have
Well,
in mind. Um, we're talking about okay, for every self-tape casting, you have like the casting director will say, "Hey, upload a current photo." Sometimes you're somewhere, it's winter, it's dark, the photos look shitty. Okay, you can use tools to really create such great photos the way you look today with AI, and it doesn't take long. Things like that.
really? Okay. I have seen those AI generated headshots, but maybe I've seen the wrong ones because they
Yeah,
look AI generated.
yeah, and
They're
that's
just too perfect and,
yeah.
you know.
We show the actors different tools, and we show them the difference. Falk is the one who is kind of the tech department.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's the one who shows, okay, look, if you use this tool, will look this way. If you look this tool, yeah, that's what we're aiming for. And I can give a feedback as a casting director because there is a thin line. I don't want photos
Hmm.
that are like that don't represent how someone looks like. As I,
Exactly. Yeah.
as I said, I think it's a help for like these little things. Or if you say, okay, let's say I'm casted for a role of a superhero or something, and I really don't have any photos. So you will always have neutral photos, but you can offer as just a side offer. Hey, that would be me in the role. Which, by the way, studios in the States, they already do that. If they have
Mm.
someone say, hey, I want to cast them for this and that role, they will put them with AI in this role, so they get an idea.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I love that. I mean, I have done that actually for castings years ago. I haven't done it recently, and I don't even know why I stopped. But I used to include a cover photo of like me in character
Hmm. Like
Uh-huh.
that.
as
Yeah.
my, yeah. And actually, thank you for reminding me because yeah, that is really helpful to do something like that. And do you know there was the guy, he also did Saltburn, the movie Saltburn. I can't think of his name right now. He was in Joker. And nobody was even looking at him for the role of Joker. I don't remember
Uh-huh.
which Batman movie this was, but, and his name will come to me, the actor's name.
I'm
But
trying
what
to research it.
yeah, okay, thank you,
Uh,
yeah. So he put together an audition tape and just sent it in, and it was just him walking down a corridor as Joker, and hit the last shot as he gets into an elevator, and the elevator doors close, and he never says a word. He's
uh,
just got the music, and I think he's got a smoke machine going on or something for the atmosphere. I mean, he's a well-known actor, so he could hire people to
very
help him do this.
him,
What?
very
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Brilliant.
Uh-huh.
Mm. Really, really smart. There's another casting director. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's out of Australia. His name is Greg Apps. Are
Uh-huh.
you familiar with Greg? Yeah.
I
Okay.
heard his name, yeah.
Yeah. Great guy. He's also very much into like encouraging people to lean into like their specific
Mhm.
unicorn, powers and all of that, which I think is great. And he also is very much like, just like tape yourself 10, 20 seconds and send it to a casting director. If you think you're right for something, say this will take you 10 seconds to look at,
Yeah.
and I think it's brilliant. It's actually really good advice. I have had casting directors look at things that I've said. I haven't always gotten an audition from it, but I know that they've looked at it because you can see.
Exactly. And
So,
I totally agree. Look, the whole self-tape casting situation brought actors into situations that are sometimes tricky for them because they're traveling,
mhm,
there's nowhere, and they don't have their
yeah,
equipment or like light whatsoever. And I think their AI can for sure help you, and it can help you as well in uh, showing, hey, this would be me in this and that role. And again, it does not mean that you do not have to send your neutral photo, your headshots whatsoever. But there are like
right.
many things, and since Falk is always the one who is researching what is new on the markets, maybe Falk, do you want to share something with us?
I
Like,
mean,
Yeah,
no, it's
oh,
just as you said, like if you download a app for $5 from the App Store to do AI headshots, they will look like it, right? But if you
yeah,
go a little bit deeper and compare the different tools, you can see that you will get way better results. And you can even go as far as saying, as Carolina said, you take a neutral image and you just use your regular face. You don't even change it, but you dress up around it, so to speak. You put yourself in
mm,
another costume. You've been talking about a smoke machine for the background of Batman or Joker. You can all do all of that with AI without changing your face. And of course, this technology is kind of advancing. So right now you can do it with stills. In the near future, you will be able to do it with, let's say, 5-second videos, and it will look exactly like you. And it's just
mhm.
important to keep these kind of things in mind, not only to apply for castings, that's what we're talking about right now, but also for what Carolina said earlier, like to tell your own stories. Because the other thing
yeah,
that's been happening right now is that we have TikTok, right? And TikTok has a For You page, and every fresh account with his first video can reach, and I've actually done that myself. Every fresh account with a new just if the first video on TikTok can reach 200,000 people, just like that, if you have the right
wow,
idea. So if you combine these two things and you say you have a vision of, let's stick with the pirate example. I know it's probably not very common, but let's say you have a creative vision for a pirate captain, a pirate king, a pirate queen, whatever, and you have a story to tell and you want to enact that character, go for it. Use AI, even if it's a bit, crafty and a bit do it yourself. Use AI to bring that vision to life, put it out into the world using channels like TikTok, and you can reach millions of people without ever going to through some intermediaries or casting directors or clients or whatever. And if that character comes to life, maybe people will recognize you for your acting skills. Maybe they will want to reproduce that character on the big screen or whatever. But you're no longer limited by what other people tell you what you can do or what you can't do.
yeah, yeah. I just find that like as the world gets bigger and broader, as it does with AI, right? It also goes more niche.
Hmm.
There's always like a balance in the universe. And
Mhm.
I think that's maybe what or at least that's what I'm getting from it. When you talk about like putting yourself out there on TikTok or on YouTube or whatever it may happen to be, and you will find your tribe. And there's I don't remember who's the author of this article, but it's 1,000 True Fans is the
Ah,
name of
yeah,
the
I remember.
article.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
talking
Hmm.
about, right? And I think that is really true. Like if you just have 1,000 true fans who are contributing $10 a year,
Hmm.
is it $10 or $100? I'm so bad at math. But it's like some nominal fee where you would, have an annual income of
Hmm.
around $100,000. And it seems like if you could get like 1,000 people, which is not crazy these days, to like your character, to want to see what's going to happen next, which would be a way to, and I think this is, it goes into another thing because I think a lot of actors just kind of throw up their hands and they're like, well, I don't know how to make money as an actor if somebody doesn't cast me in something.
Hmm.
And so there are so many skills that we bring as actors with our creativity, with our curiosity into the human condition, into, how things work, with the want, the wish to tell stories, to be a part of storytelling. And what that means, because it doesn't just mean films, it could mean I spoke about this yesterday with a different coach, but it's true. I was coaching another actress a while back who was saying like she wished she could, she loved vintage clothing as much as she loved acting.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, why don't you just, like,
Okay.
whenever you get a great new piece, develop a new character
Oh,
around that and then sell that piece and use that as the sales video, like this, like make a whole story up about it and about the person and use those as your commercials, which are really also a great way to show off your acting and do that. It becomes so niche, right? That would be so specific to her and her
Yeah,
brand.
I think it has something to do that uh, we are at a time where we can rethink the word and the field of tasks of an actor.
hmm
Yeah.
Like for some, I'm not saying all actors, the traditional theater acting, like I'm pretty sure it will remain for many, many, many years. This is how it started. So, and this is how it's going to continue. This will be
Yeah.
like beat, the calm beat. But then many, or not all actors are interested in playing in the theater or are willing for like, this is a certain lifestyle. You have to move around all the time. So,
Yeah.
and for all the others, I believe that mm, Hermann Hesse said in German, it's der Vogel kämpft sich aus dem Ei. Like the bird is coming out of the egg, and
Has
this
to
is how
break its way out. Yeah. Yeah.
it feels right now. That the whole idea of what an actor does, is totally changing. An actor wants to be seen, and we have certain traditional ways, like TV or commercial, cinema production whatsoever. Um, this was okay. Here you could, as an actor, here you can get a job. But now there's a whole other universe out there. And I
Yeah.
get that actors sometimes are overwhelmed. They're like, okay, now I should produce as well, should be like, know
Yeah.
about AI and whatsoever. And I think, yes, if you lean into this and don't see like, don't spiral. This is super important, not to spiral. Just
Yeah.
calmly say, okay, where can I get the best knowledge right now? And inhale this knowledge. And then I'm 100% sure that people can make a good plan for themselves.
Yeah.
And let me
Yeah.
circle back maybe to the what we said about niche, because we rightfully said you can now make a living out of a niche, right? A
Mm.
thousand true fans giving you $5 a month via Patreon or whatever. It's enough to
Yeah.
support a living. But I'd maybe argue it's even the best way, or maybe even in the age of AI, the only way to get attention and get your breakthrough. Because let's think back a moment to the technological side of things. What these AI models do is they try to find averages. They look for common patterns in huge sets of data. So what an AI will produce by default is always a kind of an average, right? An average looking person moving averagely, speaking in an average way. And this is what we perceive as beauty sometimes, but also what we perceive as bland and boring. So if you have like you're a very, very specific type of guy, you have a very specific look, you have a problem with your pronunciation like I do with the S, and all these kind of little things that make you human, they also help you stand out against this average content that AI will produce. And if you, as Karolina said, if you build on these strengths and find something that resonates with you and your true self, then you can produce something that AI will not be able to produce. And then again, use the power of AI to help you get that out into the world.
And I would even add that I believe that the sort of characters that we will see in movies that will be written will be more far away from average than they were ever before.
More edgy, yeah.
They will be more and more complex. Yeah, I mean, the character description will allow more like cracks and quirks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
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 I use, for example, MidJourney when it comes to when I need certain moods, like, okay, in what direction from look does the actor need to go? This is what I use it for. And know what we're talking when it comes to the workshops that Falk and I give. Those are different tools. We talk this is what I said. We show them different quality of tools, so they understand that AI is not AI. I think it's really important to kind of lay a good foundation so that you really understand how to use it, how to navigate. Um, and
Mhm.
this is how it was for me as well. Like when AI first came out and I saw like, okay, what MidJourney and Sora is doing, I had 5 days of, okay, don't talk to me. Like I wanted to put my head into the ground. So, and and I believe this is for everyone and like for most actors. And this is where the scarcity comes from. But what I did then, and this is like my character, I said, okay, to be honest, I don't know anything about it. So this is a super emotional response. And I'm drowning. Don't want that. So and then I started to figure things out. Okay, how can we use that? And I think there are two very important things. One is we talked about what is possible in the future. How will the market develop? Okay. And the other thing is, how can you use AI now as an actor to kind of get where you want to? And this is what Falk and I mainly do. So he's the one who always is on the outlook. Okay, what are new tools? And that's the innovating part
And just by
that
the
he
way,
brings.
sorry, I just wanted to add, we're not talking about images like because it's fun. You're not generating headshots, stressing yourself up. But in the workshops that we do, we also talk about the stuff that's not fun, like paperwork, bureaucracy, researching
Yeah.
for a role. And this is also where we say in our workshops we want to enable actors just use AI tools to spend less time on the stuff that's not fun, so that you have more time for doing the kind of stuff that's fun and creative and artistic.
I had taken this workshop and we had been given a scene to do that was originally husband and wife, and we were supposed to perform it as mother and daughter. And honestly, I am a mom, and I was really like the dynamics. You could tell the dynamics between the way the child, it wasn't a child, an adult child, but still, my child
Mm.
was speaking to me, and the way that I was kind of deferring to the child was like out of my realm of understanding. It's not how
Mhm.
I operate as a mom.
Yeah.
So I treat my adult son as an adult, but he's still my son. I mean, there's still like this dynamic of mother child that was missing from this scene. And so I kept like, ugh. And so I ran the scene through ChatGPT and was asking it to help me to find a way into it. And it did, which was immensely useful. And it's not that I couldn't understand, and I know that there are parents out there who, do have different dynamics with their kids than I do with my kid. And I get that. But it was just like, get out of your head, get out of your heart for how I react as a mom and try and understand how this woman is reacting in this situation.
And that is a very important aspect that you're talking about. It helps us, AI helps us as well. Not only like there are tools when you want to learn a dialogue, which makes it super easy, but in understanding or psychological patterns. For example, if you have a look at a role, and I think that's amazing. That's always having like a specialist sitting at the table.
Totally.
So,
Super
and that,
helpful with that. Yeah, I
yeah,
totally agree. Yeah.
um,
Yeah, a specialist or just a
and
sparring partner. In coding, people do rubber duck code debugging. They just talk to a rubber duck just to have somebody to talk to explain their code and find the
I
errors
didn't know
this way.
that.
And if
Yeah.
you think about it that way, ChatGPT is just like a rubber duck, and even better because it answers. And you can
Yeah,
just
right.
talk about whatever is on your mind regarding the role, regarding your career, whatever, and just have a
Yeah.
conversation with it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so true. And I definitely think it's useful for that kind of a thing. I also think it's really useful for when you like, say I don't know, how should I dress as this woman executive
Mhm.
who is an executive right, in a creative field, I mean, which I wouldn't have a problem with that, but, or someone who is a conservative, I don't know, running for the Senate or something
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
Like, suggest some clothing items to me. Suggest a hairstyle with my long hair. What, you know, suggest makeup, suggest all of those things, or even, like, generate some images for me so I can
Hmm.
visually see it and then go look in my closet and see what I can put together, because this is another thing I think we also have sort of bias, right, when we look in our own closets. And because we are looking at our clothes, we're not looking. I do have a lot of clothes that I have just because they might fit a character, but still, I think it helps to like have this is why we hire wardrobe people on movie sets and in commercials, right? To give you a different view. And that's something that ChatGTP or one of those can help you with as well. Just sort of putting together a visual and MidJourney as well. But the whole thing with all of these things, I think ChatGTP, or at least in my experience, like MidJourney, there's definitely a learning curve. Like I've played around with MidJourney. That's a whole rabbit hole. You can go down that for just like, "Leave the food at the door, honey," you know? Because 'Cause I'll just be eating it at Midjourney creating things. But there is a huge learning curve with that kind of stuff as well, and I guess it's like, as we try and figure out, because honestly, we are in an industrial revolution, just like we were, with the adding machine, like, when the French threw their sandals into the machines that started to manufacture and things like that because they thought that they were going to be replaced, and of course they were. And we are going to be replaced in some ways, and we are not going to be able to be replaced in other ways. So it's like, how do you navigate this new world? And you have to find a way to navigate it because it's here. It is not going anywhere, and it can make your life easier.
Thing, like I'm then the type who looks like tries to look at the situation neutrally and
Yeah.
tries to figure out what are like the things where I would need help. Let's say as an actor, as an agent, okay? So, and if you can nail down what are areas where you need help, there you can use AI. Simple as that. And every actor has a long list of things that he or she finds hard on the market, research wise, presenting wise, making like bringing their name into the world, whatsoever. And for all of those things, you can use AI.
Mm.
And that's how simple it actually is.
Mhm. Interesting. So, like, to create a marketing plan or something like that is what you're
And
saying?
not only that. So, okay, I don't have a show reel. Okay, I need a scene. What scene? I don't know how to write a scene. Okay, you can have a writing buddy at your desk
Yeah.
through
Okay.
AI.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when it comes to photos, hey, this costs a lot of money that I have to take photos all the time. But there are like so many different roles. That's what we talked about. The possibility of really making identical, like you just look the way you look, and you can present yourself in more ways. Then, of course, communication. How do I reach actually a casting director? Then the question, hey, I sometimes get not enough information so that I know what they actually want from me. Let's say in commercials, but now I don't have to sit down and research for an hour what was the last, I don't know, campaigns of the client. I just can have a conversation with ChatGPT, for example. There are so many ways for agents as well. How can they use excuse me, how can they use AI to kind of bring their performance right on top? And for the actors, it's the same. You can use AI to get yourself in a pole position in the market. That's what I truly believe.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
complicated for you as an actor where you think, okay, I don't know how I can solve this. I'm pretty sure that for most things we can show you how AI can like give you an outlook and give you a solution.
Yeah.
So that was mind blowing for me, and that was the moment I spoke before that I had my 5 days whole.
Yeah.
So, and the moment I understood that, I was like, whoop, okay, let's start doing this. Let's
Y-
start bringing this into the world because I think it's extremely important. As what you said, and that was kind of your first question, is there a need to be afraid?
Mm.
And my answer would be, if you don't put your head into the knowledge that is there, yes. If
If you don't
you're,
figure out how to adapt.
yes.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and if you learn about it, then I'm pretty sure you can navigate and go into your self responsibility and figure out, okay, how do I use this and how will it bring me in a different position on the market?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it also goes to what you were saying, Falk, with, creating your own types of things, going into this niche marketing. How can or we because the landscape is changing. I mean, even for casting directors, it's changing, right? I mean, there is the potential that AI could do a lot of that work. And apparently, like Spotlight and I know Actors Access already has algorithms where they're, like choosing the actors based on an algorithm and then giving that to the casting director. So then you become like a sorter, which is not very creative or fulfilling. So it's like, how do the world is changing, the market is changing, and how do you remain relevant? And are there other ways to also make an impact that are not the ways that maybe you grew up thinking about? So, yeah, I mean, a podcast is a way to have an impact, right? Or being as a creator on a smaller scale, but for a niche audience. And I'm sure there are a million other things that AI could help me come up with if I were to put the question out there.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
know that you two offer a workshop. So tell me a bit about that. Where can people find out about it? Um, take part in
We
it?
will,
When's the next one? Yeah.
and the next one is on 9th of February, and wherever the participants will be sitting on this planet, they can join us via Zoom. And
Fantastic.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and Falk will take care of the technical part, and I'm the one who, whenever an actor has a question that goes a little bit deeper in the sense of how do I connect the tool that we're talking about with what a casting director wants. So this is where, and they were both together found that this is a great way of giving an outlook because it's not
Mm-hmm.
only a dry approach, it's as well something where the emotions of the participants, like we acknowledge them, we understand that they're scared. Um, but with my market knowledge, that is when it comes to actors and what is required for them. And of course, Frank's knowledge about the industry, because he's been working for an advertising industry for many years as well. So he knows the whole communication industry. And so I just thought it felt like a super cool fit for me. And I think for you, Frank, as well. Mm, what we had in mind when we sat down for the first time to bring out into the world, I think that's exactly what we're able to do. Yeah.
Mm.
And participants, like from the feedback that we get, participants love that we have these two perspectives on kind of things. So it's kind of lucky that we met each other and can do this together. And
Mm-hmm.
also people say they like that we go from the very small things to the big things. This workshop covers both. And we try to answer the question, what does it mean to be an actor in the age of AI? But you might also get away like tiny helpful nuggets, like you get a 30 page PDF with a contract written in legalese. Just put it into ChatGPT and ask some questions, right? It's the
Absolutely.
small
I
takeaways,
definitely do that.
and
Yeah.
all that together is the kind of package that we're trying to offer here to drive value and create something that really brings all these actors and agents forward.
Yeah.
Mm.
There is like so much, like I had a conversation yesterday with someone else, had nothing to do with an industry, with our industry, but it had to do with that I was trying to get knowledge about something. And I said to them, hey, I've like researched so many nights now and there's like this view on it, and there's like that view on it, and I don't know what is the knowledge that I actually need. And that's why we created this workshop as well, so that people don't have to sit so many nights and try and error, this tool, that tool, and then not knowing, is this actually what is required? So we kind of compromise on, like, how do you say that? So
To boil
we
it
Compress.
down,
never,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to the absolute relevant things, and everything is pre-researched, so it makes them easy to access this huge bubble of knowledge that is
Yeah.
sometimes
And getting
to
bigger by the day.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So where can people find you? Where can people find out about the workshop? Is there a website for that? I'll put it in the show notes
Um,
below.
just on our Instagram account, Matheis Casting, there, and the link in
Okay.
the bio, and I can provide you as well with further links. Sure. And then they should just hit us up, and we can provide them with a direct link where they can uh, book their slot. But I have to say, the seats are always limited. So what we
Yes.
do is, because we know that people are emotionally, like, it's an emotional topic as well.
Yeah.
We cannot make the groups too big. That's why we had to limit them. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay.
well, because we want to take time for everyone, and we want to
Mm,
talk the things through that people are moved by. And we figured out that it's often the same things that they're moved by. And but if there are too many people in the group, then I don't think that we can give them, in the
the
sense of
attention.
respect and the feeling of, we hear you,
Mm.
and still we take you over the bridge. This would not be possible so easy. Yeah.
So, what are maybe, just to wrap this up, what are 2 or 3 tips that actors can use right now today if they don't want to wait until February to figure out how to use AI? I know we've given a lot of tips actually, but
Yeah.
maybe let's put it succinctly.
I think my number one tip is really actually the same tip that I would give everybody, regardless of their job. Like, get a ChatGPT account if you don't have it already, and really spend some time actively trying to get to know the tool. Be skeptical, not only because it says false things, also because sometimes it just has poor answers, and other ways the answers are better. Sometimes you can make them better through clever prompting, sometimes you can't. Just get a feeling for the limitations of large language models and the opportunities. And set some time aside to really study what ChatGPT can do. I think that's my number one tip.
Yeah. Do you think that people have to have a paid account?
Not in the beginning, but if you want to
Hmm.
use it professionally, like we've been talking about uploading a PDF with a contract that somebody's been sending for you, you need a paid account for that already. So start with a
Mm.
free one, but really, if you become a user and you start building habits around it, it might be worth getting one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also actors could band together. If you're
Yeah.
not using it every day, you could, 2 or 3 people could split an account because it's like 20 something a month.
Hmm.
No, that's what I wanted to say. Actually, if you start doing it, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And if you get the stone rolling, then you'll be like, okay, what else is it where AI could help me? And then if the approach is playful, it can be so much fun.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Something just to throw this out there, because I think that another way that you can really use AI is for PR. And I was trying to become a guest on different podcasts, and each one of those podcasts will ask a different, like, they have a different theme, right? And so because I'm also starting this other project, Passion Project to Pro, I think I told you about it, Carolina, which is how to help people bridge the gap between their dreams and making it a professional part of their life. Which is what I did. I had started bringing in coaches to Munich, from LA, from New York, from London, to get my skills sharp again, because I was a professional actor back in America, but then I had 16 years off to raise my family. I didn't speak German when I first got here, all of those things that, and I thought, how am I supposed to do this? And so the first thing that I needed was just to get my skills sharp again. And I didn't want to add the extra complication of having to do that in a language that wasn't my mother tongue. But that enabled me to not only get the skills, which is what I wanted, at basically no cost because the other participants, I put in the sweat equity and they paid for it basically. But I was building a community. So I was then able to start asking, well, who are the casting directors? Who are the good agents? What productions are going on? What's, all of those types of things. And actors are also a really great source of getting castings, right? To know like, oh, this indie film is happening or that's happening. And then so many other things that it led to from there. So because of that, because I was looking to get guest spots on other people's podcasts to talk about this new program that I'm launching, um, it was amazing in helping me sort of put together, like, I did my biography. You have to do the work of writing out your biography and saying, these are the main points of my life. I'm an expat. I'm, 58. I'm a mom. I'm an actor. I'm a this, I'm a that. But then putting that all together and saying, so how is this relevant to this particular podcast? And how is it relevant to that? Or pitch me for this, pitch me for that. And it was able to put together these, I had to tweak everything, of course, but still really able to pull out the things about my life that could be the most interesting to that particular venue. So I think actors can use that as well. There are so many podcasts out there these days that need guests to be pitching yourself. Like, are you part of an independent film? Have you just launched an acting career after coming off of a whole nother life as a second act? So that these are all like personal interest stories that can appeal to a broader audience and give you just a little bit of a boost as far as reach goes, give you something to talk about on social media, and give you confidence and experience in having interviews, which you will need as you start to progress in your career.
You know what? There's, if I may add something, we always had a certain hierarchy in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So, actor, there was the agent, there was the casting director, was a production company.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of totally changing. There are many, like the agent, for example, knew the market well, had the connections. Okay. Now is the situation that an actor can, as well as the agent, of course, they are all at point zero, like we are too.
Yeah.
We all have together, like we all have to learn together how the new market, including all possibilities, will be brought to life.
Mhm.
And that's it as well. Hey, dear agents, we think you should come too. And not only because we give you tools that show you how you can improve your like performance as an agent, but the knowledge that was there, or like the plus of knowledge on the agent side when it comes to AI, since an agent is an advice giver
Yeah.
to the actor, that's why we thought it's super important that they should come as well and like start to pick up on artificial intelligence as a tool, not only for themselves, but like so that they can give the knowledge to the actors.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that that's great. I'll definitely mention it to my agent. Okay. We could obviously keep talking about this for forever. There's so much to it. It's so interesting, and there are so many different rabbit holes you can go down. But let's wrap it up here, and maybe I'll invite you back on again towards February. Either like before the workshop, after the workshop, whatever, as you gear up to your next workshop after February, to see, because I'm sure that AI will continue to change and evolve. I mean, that's how quickly
Yeah.
it's moving. So
Yes.
I'm sure that there will be different things to talk about in February that we didn't cover here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see that
Absolutely.
from workshop to workshop. There's like
Yeah,
every 2
I
weeks there's
totally
something
believe it.
completely new where I take notes and say, oh, we need to include that in the next workshop.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
So
Well,
thanks a million for having us. See you in February.
February. You will definitely see me in February.
Yeah.
Well,
Join
when in February? What did you say?
9th of February. Why don't we give a code to your listeners?
I would love that. Yeah.
I'll provide you with a code of 15% for your listeners. Thank
Yes,
you
yeah.
for doing the work that
Yeah.
you do. I love things that you bring into the world. Think it's great.
Thank
And
you.
like you are like such a great example of having question marks and turning them into, how do you call it?
An
Ausrufezeichen.
exclamation point.
Yes.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
Cool.
That's the spirit. Yeah, absolutely.
Turn
Yeah.
your questions into exclamation points. I love that. All right. Well, Act Bold listeners or watchers, however you are consuming this material, thank you so much. Let us know in the comments what stood out to you, like what parts of AI that you already are using or what you're planning on using. Make sure to stay tuned so that you can join the workshop. I'm definitely going to be there. I think it's something that we all need to be aware of and not be afraid of, because being afraid just keeps you ignorant, and ignorant is not going to help you. So with that, you all stay your bold and beautiful selves, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.